Good afternoon to all my favorite people. Today I want to talk about, well, kind of the reason why we can't keep new technicians in the field anymore. Judging from the title of this video, it is being broken up into two different parts. This first part, I want to be going over gatekeeping and my experience with it. Why is there gatekeepers? And of course, how can we solve this problem? So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn the bell on so you will be notified for the second part when that drops. So to start off, gatekeeping is a really big problem. I personally never really had any situations dealt personally to me. I've seen it more so around me with newer technicians coming into the field. Now, I've been lucky enough. I've learned a lot over the years. If you've been following this channel for a long time, this is kind of where I started my car journey. I've had this channel for 7-8 years now. But schooling and certifications are fairly outdated, which will leave a lot of newer technicians trying to figure things out. And those two things are something that's going to be in the next video. But it's important to note that because it does fall with gatekeeping, because when you come into this field, you have your coworkers or your team to rely on for help. And trust me, when you get out of school, the real world, everything that goes on in the shop is completely different than what you go through in school. Gatekeeping isn't the biggest problem to this issue, but by 2024, I mean, we're expected to lose more than 500,000 people in this field. And I'm not putting gatekeeping as the #1 reason why, but it's a big enough reason to be up there, and it will kill a lot of technicians. Now make a mental note on that information I just gave you there, because at the end of the video, there's a way we can fix this problem, and it's much more simpler than you think. First, I want to go over 2 stories where I've dealt with gatekeeping in the worst. These are probably the 2 most worst situations I've been in handling gatekeeping type situation. So the first story I have here is I was working at a Pep Boys for a little bit, and at the same time when I got hired on, they hired on another lube technician. Now this lube technician came from Take 5 Oil. So if you're familiar with Jiffy Lube, they kind of work the same. They provide all the air tools and everything like that to do oil changes. That's all it is. It's a lube shop. But Pep Boys requires you to have your own tools. They do not provide any tools, even in the lube section. Needless to say, this person did not have their own tools. They went out, they bought their standard like 300 piece mechanic set you can get, at Harbor Freight or anything like that, just to start out. He was working on a Dodge truck, and you gotta hand it to Chrysler for just screwing things up every single time. But they have to be different. So their oil filter housing caps are 24, 25 millimeters, somewhere like that. He asked me for one. I didn't have one. I carry an axle socket set, so it's 27 to about 36 millimeters, and all I had was an adjustable wrench. I handed that to him. I said, if you could try to get it off with that, cool. If not, try to ask one of the other guys for help. About 2 hours went by. I still noticed that the truck was still on the rack, and I went to ask him about it. And the story he gave me was he did ask one of the other guys, but they lashed out on him. They gave him attitude, told him, figure it out. We're not going to help you. It's not our problem. Yada, yada, yada. Just a bunch of dickish responses. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was kind of an asshole to these guys because I called them out on it. But it's not the first time I've seen that. And this is something I've been kind of fed up with in the industry. Because the way I look at it, we should be helping the newer guys. Like, it doesn't do any harm to us. And it's just about being a good person, I guess. I don't know. Now, I have a personal story where I worked at a Honda, and I can't remember exactly what I was doing. I believe it was either like a timing job or it was a programming thing where I was trying to use the actual internal like Honda software to do programming. I'm used to Autel, and that's just me because I come from mostly independent shops. And I remember the technician next to me, I was asking him for help, and he was just telling me to figure it out. Now, I know it's a little similar to the first story I told you, but this is what I did differently. This is what makes this story different, is I went to the service manager. I'm not a snitch or anything like that. I just simply was like, hey, I'm trying to figure this out. Can you help me out here? He pointed me to, well, go ask your lead. Well, that's what I did. And so I told him that. I was like, well, I did, and this is what I'm dealing with now. So I'm just, you know, maybe you can help out. And by him helping out, he just went to go have a conversation with him and then left. Then I went back to the lead tech and he said the same thing. He said, figure it out. So this is kind of like that. Well, he told him, and it was kind of the service manager had to grow a pair, I guess. There's other things other than gatekeeping going on in that situation, but the point still stands is there was no help, and it took me pretty much not most of the day, but a good amount of the day to figure out what I had to actually do. So what is actually causing people to be gatekeepers in this industry? I'll tell you what, my favorite excuse I've heard is, well, I don't get paid to show you, which is implying that flat rate, because of flat rate, you can't help people. Now look, the thing about helping people, you don't help somebody in the hopes to gain something from it. You're just an asshole at that point. You help people just to help people. It's just the right thing to do. You're a kind person. That's what you want to do. So the fact that a lot of people will use flat rate as an excuse is a poor excuse. So to answer that original question of what's causing gatekeeping, in my opinion, is I think these senior technicians are they just don't care. They don't care anymore. They don't care to learn the new technology and everything like that coming out. They don't care to help or support newer technicians. They just simply do not care anymore. Look, I get it. They're about to retire. A lot of them, you know, are less than 10 years away from it. The way this issue can get resolved and get us all back on a better track, aside from, again, a bunch of other stuff we'll discuss later, but put the ego, put the pride away, suck it up. You know, you know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know. Almost had a freaking stroke there. Of course, it's up to the new technicians to absorb that kind of information if they really want to learn, and that's up to them. But if any of the older senior guys are watching this and all that, you got to start the initiative first. You have to open up to these newer guys before making the judgment call of, I'm not going to help this guy. People are going to come and go all the time, but if you don't at least give them the chance, or even a second chance, then you'll never know. You'll never know unless you try. There's a saying that I really like, and I actually heard it again recently, but you miss 1,000 of the shots you don't take. And that's just true in a lot of aspects of life. And these newer guys won't stay if they're not being properly trained or taught or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to be able to make a decent paycheck, because we're all trying to keep a roof over our heads. And the way this industry works is, you know, it's not something you can kind of learn on the go. You know, if you have to spend more time learning, then you're just going to be hurting yourself and you're going to be left behind. Put the pride, put the ego, put all that down, and when you go to work tomorrow, man, help your guys. You know, it's different if you're talking to a new guy who thinks he knows it all. I totally understand. But if you go to work tomorrow and you talk to one of the new guys you have, and you ask him what he's struggling with, and he gives you an actual answer, take that as the initiative that he wants to learn, and be like, well, I can show you that. And with that, you guys, I will see you guys all in the next video. And for you guys watching this, comment down below what you struggle with, and I might be able to actually help you out with that if it's, you know, something I can put in a comment. And somewhere here on the screen, I'm gonna have a video that I've done in the past. Go check that out, and then I will see you guys all in the next video, and hopefully you guys all have a great rest of the week. Okay, bye-bye.